What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this webcast. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute, I know. I apologize. I haven't been on in a while, but what a day to return, to talk some more sports again. If you didn't watch the NBA yesterday, you got to watch the highlights of both games, of both of the matchups. Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1, Miami Heat, Boston Celtics. Game 7 of the Western Conference Semifinals, the LA Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. We're going to talk about both of that. And yeah, let's jump right back into it. All right, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1, Boston Celtics, Miami Heat. I got one thing to say. Bam Adebayo. Unbelievable. In my opinion, greatest block in playoffs history that I've seen, at least that I've seen, for sure. 100% in my time, the greatest block in playoff history. Some people will say, what about LeBron, Game 7 against the Warriors? The significance, in my opinion, of that block was greater, obviously, because the Warriors would have taken a lead, and, the Cavaliers hadn't won a championship in 60-plus years. So the significance of that block was obviously greater than Bam's block, but just the block itself was from Bam Adebayo last night was just absolutely incredible. The greatest block in the playoffs that I'd ever seen. Above the rim, Jason Tatum going in for a dunk, balls literally over the rim. At full force by Tatum, and Bam's entire hand gets bent backwards. Like, everything about that was just, with everything on the line in that game, would have tied the game, potentially would have sent the game to a second overtime. Miami would have had a shot with like 12 seconds left, so we don't know. But Bam was like, no chance, we're not having any of that. And credit to him, obviously, for helping seal that win. But so many guys on the team stepped up. It was all in all a really great game. Boston had a big lead in the beginning of the game. They had a 13-point lead early in the first. They had a 12-point lead going into the fourth, and Miami just never gave up. They just never stopped fighting, stopped clawing their way back. Big shots by Jay Crowder, Tyler Hero, the rookie, Jimmy Butler coming up huge with a couple shots, which ended up also being the game-winning shot and won in overtime. Goran Dragic putting up 30 points. I mean, everybody on the Heat team combined to contribute in a way that helped them win that game. It was a great game, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball. I'm happy the Heat came out with the victory, and I'm still just in shock every time I watch a highlight of that block. It's just gives me chills. Everybody talking about it. I can't believe that it happened. I can't believe he was able to stop Jason Tatum going full force like that in that moment. It was just the greatest thing. And then we had the Western Conference playoffs. Game 7, Denver Nuggets looking to come back from a second 3-1 deficit in the playoffs this year. They beat the Utah Jazz. They came back from a 3-1 deficit there. They were looking to come back against the Clippers, complete their 3-1 comeback, and they did. The game was pretty close throughout the first, 3 quarters. And then the Clippers just went cold. They just went cold, and Jamal Murray went off, making bucket after bucket. And, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard didn't score a point, didn't score a basket, didn't score a point in the fourth quarter. They combined for 24 points total between the two of them. I think Kawhi had 14, Paul George had 10. Neither one of them showed up when it mattered. Neither one of them showed up when they needed to. And the team that I think a lot of people expected to either make it to the NBA Finals or at least compete against the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA in the Western Conference Finals, they were bounced. They got knocked out in a playoff upset, I would say, because I don't think anybody expected the Denver Nuggets to beat the LA Clippers. I think a lot of people expected the series to be over before it even started. I think a lot of people for sure expected the series to be over once it was 3-1. I don't think anybody expected that the Clippers would blow lead after lead, game after game, and then just completely choke in Game 7, in the biggest game that mattered, win or go home, including their two best players on the team former Finals MVP from last year, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, who people say who you can argue is, you know, one of the best players in NBA currently. They did not show up in that game. They did not show up in the fourth quarter, especially. And the Denver Nuggets took advantage and now sets up a matchup. The Los Angeles Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets, who, again, I don't think anybody's expecting the Denver Nuggets to win that series. You know, obviously they can win a game here and there. I don't think anybody is doubting the fact that the Lakers will represent the West in the NBA Finals as the Western Conference team. But who knows? I mean, I guess anything can happen with what obviously what happened with the Clippers. You know, obviously it could happen for the Lakers, but I just don't see it happen. But you know, game 1 on Friday, so we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, I'm still on a high. That game last night was unbelievable. And then we got Boston and Miami again, game 2 this Thursday. Miami looking to go up 2-0, and Boston looking to tie the series at 1 apiece. But that game last night was just unbelievable. The ending, the entire game itself, the back and forth, guys making shots left and right, and then obviously the ending, like I said, was just everything about that game was just pure, incredible playoff basketball. That was just unbelievable to watch, to see. And I'm looking forward to game 2. I think it'll be exciting. You know, Boston and Miami, I think, match up pretty well. But, you know, Boston's got a lot of young, you know, great players. Miami as well got, you know, a lot of young guys that, you know, either team can really hit a stride and go on a run in the blink of an eye. And I think I think this series is going to be incredible, as evident, you know, in the game yesterday. If that's anything to show of how this series is going to go, I'm excited to see where the rest of it goes. So I'm looking forward to game 2. Miami, Boston, you know, obviously rooting Miami. Got to root for the Heat, of course. But I'm excited to see how it goes. And I'm going to be back. Good to be back. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care and peace.